One of the benefits of seller financing is just the confidence level that it creates for the buyer. Buyers always question whether or not the business is everything that it's been presented. And if a seller's turning around and saying, we'll carry a large percentage of that, or even in the case where the lender's coming in, oftentimes with SBA financing, the SBA will finance it, but the underwriter for SBA will require that the seller carry back some percentage of the sales price, 10%, 15%, whatever the case may be. Some of the benefits of seller financing are the obvious. You collect interest, you defer capital gains, and there's some tax advantages, and there's some monetary advantages there. At the end of the day, you're going to collect more. Oftentimes, you're going to be able to get more for the business right out of the gate. That's going to affect the valuation. Because again, you can't separate the price and the terms. Well, I might be able to sell this business for $1 million cash, but you're telling me if I finance it, I can sell it for $1.2 million. That's baked into the deal, right? I mean, you can always sell the business for more if the terms are more, attractive to a buyer. And if they don't have to go and pay, fees and points and all these things that they'd have to pay typically to a lender, and the seller finances it, then typically you're going to be able to sell that business for more. The asking price was $1.2 million, and at the end of the day, on the final purchase agreement, the asking price ended up being $1.4 million. So that the actual price was more than our asking price, but it needed to be because the terms were such that it warranted it. To sellers is, hey, listen, if you're going to play banker, if you're going to come in and you're going to finance part of the purchase price of your business, then treat that buyer just like Wells Fargo would treat that buyer, or Bank of America would treat that buyer. Let's go through the same process. Let's obviously credit check and some background search, and also lien them like the bank would lien them. I mean, if they have $100,000 in equity in a rental home and another $500,000 in equity in their primary residence, certainly the bank's going to look at that for collateral. And if you're a seller and you're carrying the note, it's possible that you should do the same. Certainly a seller that sits across the table from a buyer and the lender and says, I am not doing that. There's no way I'm going to carry 10 or 15% of this purchase price. I'm not doing it. That sends a pretty strong message about how the seller feels the buyer's going to do in this newfound business. And it's probably going to chase away some number of buyers. The pros and cons of seller financing. I mean, some of the pros of seller financing, of course, are tax consequences. I mean, you're not paying all the capital gains, in a huge lump sum. You are collecting interest, and today, that same money sitting in a savings account is getting, 0.5% interest. So if you can loan that money to a quality, strong buyer, and you can get 6, 8, maybe more in terms of a percentage rate, if you can collect 8% interest, then it may make a lot of sense to carry that note rather than just have that cash sitting in a savings account. So there's some advantages, tax advantages to seller financing. There's some businesses that really the only way they're going to be sold is using seller financing.